failure is a pathway to self-confidence. Self-confidence is tied, like I said in my list, it's tied to your fear of failure.
Okay. So I just want to say kudos to you then. Congratulations. You failed at your list. So good job. You definitely did that with the list. So good job.
5,
4,
3,
2,
1.
It's SOSOU, and we in the building. Welcome to the My 5 Cents podcast. Let me introduce the cast of characters. To my right, I have HLS.
HLS is here, the fan favorite. What's up, everybody?
Fan favorite. We're still trying to figure out these fans. We looking for the receipt. You keep telling us about them, but we don't believe you.
It's only fan, the one fan.
You do not know what's popping in my DMs. I keep telling you.
Nothing. I know exactly what's popping in your DMs, and it's nothing.
Such a hater. Such a hater.
Screenshots or it doesn't exist.
Exactly.
And to my left, I have the logical genius.
What's up, everybody? I'm ready to drop some knowledge.
And welcome to another episode of the My 5 Cents podcast, the family debate show where we have a topic, we discuss the topic, and we have a judge that makes sense of it all. And I am very excited about this episode here because we're talking about self-confidence. Mm-hmm. We're talking about the ways to build self-confidence. Mm-hmm. Fellas, are you confident about your list this week?
Oh, I got this one in the bag.
Oh, gosh. Yes. To answer your question, yes.
I doubt it. All right. So to help us out with this topic here, we have an author, a motivational speaker, an authenticity strategist, and subconscious reprogramming expert. She is a top 10% ranked podcast host with 5 years experience in events production and volunteer team building for Tony Robbins. As the host of the Happiness Habit podcast and founder of Reauthenticated, she helps people create an identity of freedom through authenticity so you can end self-abandonment, heal your nervous system of emotional addictions, and stop keeping the secret of you. Her workbook, Reauthenticated, a revolutionary self-transformation guide to personal freedom, is releasing on Amazon this fall. So we are so excited to have Kara Payton on the line. Kara, welcome. How are y'all?
What's up, Kara?
Thank you so much for having me, guys. This is going to be fun.
No, it's going to be a good time. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for coming on the show.
So, Kara, my first question to you is this. What is your superpower and how has it helped you in your journey?
Oh, God, I love that question.
You're the only one, Kara.
Is that how we're starting today? Is that what we're going to do today?
Oh, my goodness.
Shots fired.
Right.
Oh, ready. Duck.
Attacking the self-confidence, right?
I would have to say my superpower, to put it in third grade language, is just I keep it absolutely 100. I love you. I love my family. I love my friends. I love the people around me. But when it comes time where I have to start abandoning myself and I have to start putting some part of me in a closet, you and I have issues. And when I have to come outside of myself in order to maintain a dynamic or keep the peace, I don't keep the peace, I peace. So it's I keep it.
Good way of saying it.
Nice. So, Kara, with that and with our topic talking about self-confidence, it takes a certain level of confidence to keep it 100 at all times. For fear of keeping it real goes wrong, do you find in instances where you keep it real, keep it 100, that it may go left?
Yeah. And it's delivery, because there's a way that you have people that are confident in who they are, and it's immovable. They don't fudge that. They don't compromise that. They don't make negotiations about it. And then there's people that say, I don't care what you think about me. I'm this, I'm that. Actually, the people that say, I don't care what you think about me are the ones who care the most. They're the ones that are flying flags out there that are like, stay away. Don't poke that. It's sore. It's not confident. I can't have you go into that part. And the people that are actually confident, they don't need to say that. And anytime that I've said, I'm confident, I know who I am, I know what I want, and I've delivered in a way that draws lines in the sand and segregates and excludes people, that's when it goes left for me. So I've got to also be 100% honest about, am I saying it and delivering it in a way that is holding a standard or a boundary for myself, but also not just like slashing the throat of a relationship just for the sake of you get your shit together because I can't hold your weight.
Speaking of that, when your delivery is important, and as you just said, there's a difference between confidence and being cocky.
Yeah.
Right. What is that line, and how do you deliver it accurately so your confidence doesn't come off as being cocky?
If I'm valuing something over another person, that's when things come off as cocky. Is when I am putting my opinion and what I have to say out there in the world above you or through you. That's when things get off the shelf.
Kara, you talked about your superpower. What is your kryptonite?
I would have to say that my superpower becomes my kryptonite very quickly once I've made that one compromise, that when I start the negotiation process and who I'm going to be, when I start making these micro decisions to be just a little bit less and a little bit less and a little bit less, it just, before I know it, I'm 6 months down the line and realized I've got cleanup to do because I got way into, morphing myself to match a room or a relationship, or just once I start compromising, there really isn't like a hard stop at any point. So I have to keep it 100. My superpower supports me my kryptonite not ever reaching me.
Yeah, that's deep. That's
Yeah.
deep. With your Happiness Habit podcast, it takes work, right? To always be 100, to always look out for yourself, to try to find the happiness. Is this a constant? Would you say it's a constant? It's like going to the gym. Like you have to always maintain that level of sanity for yourself to maintain the level of happiness. Like it's constant checking for yourself.
You have to, there are laws. People say, I just want to be happy. I don't understand what's wrong with me. I can't be happy. I can't have this level of, or you can't be happy all the time. And, people talk about, when people bash happiness, they're unhappy. People who bash happiness, I don't value happiness. I want joy in my life. It's like, bullshit. We don't Google joy, how to attain joy. We don't Google how to get inner peace. People want to know how to be happy.
Yeah.
People want to feel good.
Yeah.
And so we can make it cheap. We can make happiness seem like some fleeting BS emotion that doesn't get us anywhere in life. But the real issue is, why do we have such a problem with the idea of someone who is happy, who is solid, who does feel good? Because I got to be honest, I was miserable all the time. Formative years, teenage years, childhood, crazy chaos, childhood, divorce, violence, domestic abuse, substance abuse, all the worst. Even childhood abuse that I had repressed, because all of it came up and I repeated it. I took my parents' life and I went rinse and repeat, and I married the same type of person, and I had the same kind of lifestyle. And I had gotten to a place in my 20s where I was suicidal. And so I know what it's like to be in the trenches and just desperately want to cling to anything that would bring me out of that and feel happier, where the worst possible place to be was in my own head, in my own four walls, alone, with nothing to deal with but me. I know what that's like. And today, no matter what comes across my desk, no matter what comes into my life or comes out of my life, even more so important, I have me. I have my back. And it's not an embittered, resentful freak flag for the sake of being inflammatory and boisterous or arrogant or anything. Like, I'm happy. I'm happy no matter what happens to me. And that's valuable. And it's not cheap. My happiness is very expensive. It's going to take a lot for someone to get under my skin and take a piece of that, because I built that and I am protective over it. And I think that people, when they end up miserable or cheapen happiness and act like it's some, fool's errand to try and attain happiness, it's like, wait till you get it and it's solid. You're going to be protective over it. I have it and it stays with me because I do not allow it to leave. I obey the laws of it. It's not unconditional. There are things that I have to do on a daily basis to not only make a deposit into my mental state, but to also make sure that if I have a withdrawal, it's immediately recovered, and that I'm only withdrawing it for like the absolute VIP things that do require my full 100% focus and investment in that.
Is happiness selfish?
It has to be.
Wow.
Yeah, I think so.
It has to be, because it's the ultimate act of selfishness so that you can turn around and be selfless to others. It's selfishness inward. You can be selfless outward.
Wow, that's interesting.
So you spoke about happiness and, people not really subscribing to it. And the phrase misery loves company. Is that a real thing in your mindset, or is that just something that people say?
We're built for it. We're born with, we want to connect. We want to belong. We want to be understood. We want confirmation bias. We want our model of the world proved. And so we will seek out other people that agree with that 100%. We're built for rapport. And so we have a world where we crave intimacy, but we settle for connection.
That was a bar.
The nugget, yeah.
That was a bar. Say that again. No, seriously, say that again, because it hit me, but like it hit me so hard, like it knocked me out. Like I need to digest it, because that right there.
So if I'm to look into your soul, HLS, I understand him. I see him. I see his shadows. I see his good side, his upside, his downside, his blah days. If I can understand that, love that, accept that full all the way through, and he doesn't have to perform for it or earn it, that's intimacy. That I know you all the way through. But we settle for someone that we settle for the idea of someone. We settle for a connection just for the sake of connection. Why do you think our online world is growing like crazy? We are the most connected we've ever been and the most depressed we've ever been.
Yeah.
Explain that.
Great point.
Wow.
Our social media and our smartphones and all of this internet world is connecting us more, but we are not close.
No.
This is true.
Wow.
This is true.
Well, thank you for those nuggets.
Yeah,
Go ahead,
seriously.
HLS.
No, I was going to say, I find myself back in the day before social media, I found myself picking up the phone and actually calling people and actually having a conversation. Now I check in via text. Hey, you good? Yeah, I'm good. And then that's it.
That's it.
That's it.
Yeah, I was actually we had a guest on the Don't Take It From Us podcast. And in one of their episodes, they put out a challenge to just call someone once a week, just phone call, not a text message, not a social media message, but to actually call someone and check in on someone. And I think it's turned into a lost art. I used to look forward on my birthday for all the birthday phone calls. Yeah. Now it's like I got to make sure I log into Facebook to maybe
get that love,
get that love for the birthday there. So Kara, I was looking into you, not in a creeper way, but I saw
It was in the
picture.
creeper way.
Definitely the creeper way.
I saw a picture of you, and it looked like you were in front of a TED sign. So, did you happen to do a TEDx? And what was that topic about?
It's authenticity. It's authenticity. So, on the same note of craving intimacy but settling for connection, we crave the authentic, but we settle for the show. We settle for the social media highlight. We settle for the filters. We settle for the highlight reel. We want, and that's why when somebody does finally show up and they are raw, real, unique, original, something that like blasts our mind of all the expectations of what's going on in the world, we reshare it and they're like, this hard on it, this is everything. What about it was this is everything? It was real.
Real.
When something hits you or when it hits different, what they're really saying is this feels real to me. My nervous system didn't see this and go, I smell bullshit. Any moment that something is really actually felt, what is felt in it is a level of authenticity that was shown and delivered. We might not be able to understand it. We might not necessarily readily be able to identify it. It's like something I can't put my thumb on it. Perfect example. I don't know if you guys, when Post Malone came out, I was all sorts of judgmental. A to Z. Like, this guy is not going anywhere.
You weren't with White Iverson?
He's not it. He's not it. That's what you were saying.
This guy is not the avatar that I have in my mind of a mega millionaire pop star, whatever. I was like, that's not it. And I tried, you guys, I tried to hate him. I tried to hate him so hard. I was like, he's not attractive. He's kind of funky and just, I think I made fun of him in high school. Like I just was, and I fell head over heels in love with the man because he's a one-off. There is only one. We have so many people, so many artists, so many personalities, so many authors, so many coaches, so many models, so many whatever that are a copy-pasted version. Somebody trying to chase somebody else's summit, somebody else's dream, somebody else's desire, somebody else's avatar. And it's like, he didn't. Clearly, he didn't. He didn't give a shit about looking left or right. He's like, I'm Post Malone.
This is true.
I'm gonna do me.
There's a lot of people like that, and we are all gravitating toward it, and there's only one reason. It's they do not take and copy paste or drag and drop. They do not consult with the world and go, all right, now who am I going to be? Mm-hmm. I'm going to open the door to a room and I'm going to scan the crowd and go, okay, this is the version of myself that needs to walk into this room. We do it to a micro degree, most of us, if we're honest, and there's a certain amount that's good. It protects us. There's a self-preservation mechanism in our brain that just goes, okay, yeah, I'm assessing the potential impact that the environment's going to have on me, and I'm going to alter just a little bit. And that alteration, if you don't alter back when you leave the room, or you make that a habit, I'm going to open a room, I'm going to alter, and then I'm going to walk in, and I'm going to alter, and I'm going to go back home, and I'm going to alter and go to work, I'm going to alter, and then I'm going to marry this person, I'm going to alter and get this job. We don't even recognize who we are anymore. It's like a boiling frog.
So that's great that you say that, because let me ask then, do you think and you mentioned social media, do you think we as a society now are at that point in, I guess, in this generation that it's okay to like everything in the world is just fake, and then when you see authenticity, it's so, even though it should be real and it should be like, it's authentic, he's just being himself, like, oh my God, that's so different, when it's actually not different, he's just being himself, or a person being themselves. Are we kind of brainwashed at this point to accept the fake so much that when we see just something as simple as somebody being their natural self, that it's mind-blowing to us, and that we're making a really big deal out of it, even though we probably don't need to, or we shouldn't, because it's just a person just being true to themselves?
I think that on that same token, we crave authenticity, but we settle for just being different. Like, I just want to do something different. Like, I don't know if it's me, I don't know if it's not me, but I know that this will stand out. This will look significant. This will stick out. And so I'm going to do this just to be the highlighter on the page. It's not me, but I know that this will get me looked at. I know this will get me attention. I know this will give me likes. I know this will give me followers. I know it's still on authenticity, but it's even worse because it plagiarizes itself as somebody trying to wear a mask of authenticity.
I see.
And most of us really, we have no idea the depths of the magic that would absolutely start coming forth if we dove into that. We have a society, it's built, it's structured, it keeps us all in line, and marketing knows this. They capitalize on this all day long. If I can get you to believe that you have something missing, I can sell you all fucking day long.
Yep.
And once you get that thing and you buy that thing, add to cart, click to access, register for access. All of if I can get you to do this on loop, you stop chasing who you are and you start chasing this freaking carrot that I tell you, oh, this is the piece, this is the piece, this is the product, this is the item, this is the shirt, this is the event, this is the status, this is the car. And what I did is I did the same thing. I was super miserable in my life. I took somebody that I thought was successful and I was like, I'm going to copy paste their life. I ended up with a huge house, a Mercedes, the cars, the watches, the 6 figures, all of the stuff. And I get to the existential summit and realize, oh shit, I've checked off every single box and I am still a miserable person. Well, that didn't work. What do I do now? There's nothing else to buy. There's nothing else to do. Yeah. There's nothing else to try. I'm miserable and I did everything that the world told me to do. Now what? And then that gets really freaking uncomfortable because you start to have to look. That's when you absolutely have to dig into yourself. You go, oh crap. What's in this archive, attic, disaster nightmare that I've been just shoving different parts of myself and going, I need you to not, because this is the character that I have to play to do this. And I need you to not say anything, do anything, be anything, think anything other than what I've been programmed.
So for us here at the My 5 Cents podcast, we had to dig deep on this topic for today. And we are talking about self-confidence and the best ways to improve your self-confidence. So we are going to segue into the next section of the show. And Logical Genius, please explain to our guests what's about to happen next.
All right, Kara. We've established your expertise in this area of self-confidence and authenticity to our audience. Now we need you to become judge, jury, and executioner for us, because HLS, Social Juve, and I are constantly debating things. And we think we know what is the best ways to build your self-confidence, but we can't agree on which are the top 5. And we need you, the expert that you are, to come with a decision and let us know which one of us has the best list. Simple, right? It's a daunting task, but it's simple.
All right. And HLS, can you please explain to Kara what is the criteria for judging?
Kara, the criteria is that there is no criteria.
None.
You may choose me because I know what happiness looks like. I know what confidence looks like, and it's not cocky. That's why you might choose me.
You might like the fact that I was an ugly duckling, and look at me now.
Still an ugly duckling. but he's confident with it. He's confident with it.
I got nothing to say to that. I got nothing after that. I'm sorry.
You got nothing? And you might like the fact that
boy
is choking on his words, and you might just say he's the winner for that. It is completely up to you.
Whatever you decide. But your first decision now is you get to decide who goes first.
Well, you're already talking, so let's do it.
Okay, Karen. Here's
Here we
my
go with
five
the
cents.
cockiness.
Yep, the calculus is already beginning.
It's part of my mistake.
Yeah.
Here's
big
my 5
energy.
cents on the best ways to build your confidence. And number 5, I have volunteer. When you're giving back to the community, let's say you're at a soup kitchen or a homeless shelter, when you're giving back, it gives you a good feeling. And in that good feeling, it makes you feel proud. It makes you feel proud that you're doing something good for somebody else. So that's number 5. Number 4, you need to set attainable goals. You need to set attainable goals for yourself. Don't say, I'm going to climb the Himalayan mountains. Say, I'm going to go for a walk. And once you do that, once you build yourself up, you get that confidence, right? You improve on something that you don't properly manage, you can't measure it. And once you see success, it goes into that self-confidence. So you need to set something you can measure. And number 3, you know the saying, keep up with the Joneses? Forget about them. Don't do it. Don't compare yourself to others. When you do that, you experience something called envy. Social Juve envies me. Logical Genius envies me. I tell these guys, don't do it. Because the more you envy, the worse you may feel about yourself.
Fake news.
Yeah, they're fake news.
At number 2, have sex. Might seem controversial, but it's not. Because the lack of sex can cause your self-worth and your confidence to drop. But when you have sex, keep in mind you have to have sex with someone who wants to have sex with you. Okay, Logical Genius? When you have sex with someone that wants to have sex with you, you feel nurtured, you feel desired, and it boosts your self-confidence, your overall well-being. And at number 1, you have to craft your circle. You have to surround yourself by people who are positive. Because if you feel bad after hanging out with somebody, maybe you need to second guess, I shouldn't be hanging out with these people. You need to have a nice circle of trust. And that's my 5 cents on the best ways to boost your self-confidence.
Now, if that wasn't a caravan of garbage, I don't know what is. Goodness. What?
Can you do better?
Of course, I could do better.
Have
I
at
have
it.
self-confidence.
Have at it.
No, Kara, you get to pick who goes next.
Go for it. You're challenging him.
Oh my goodness.
Right.
I apologize. This is why he is called the habitual line stepper, because he is all over the place and he's just like, I don't know what chat GPT questions he inputted to get these random responses to use for the show, but that was bad.
Kara, be prepared to go to sleep.
So Kara, self-confidence, the key word is self, right? And I think people often confuse self-confidence or they're missing from self-confidence is they think it's all mental, right? They think it's all emotional, but there's a physiological aspect to self-confidence. And I think what you have to do is just pay attention to who and how you are when you are feeling or lacking self-confidence. Like you can think about when someone is lacking self-confidence, how are they physically, right? Their posture, they're slouching, they're probably speaking really slowly, they're not making eye contact, they're looking down. But when you see a person who's confident, they're walking with their chest out, right? Chest out, speaking loudly, smile on their face. So all of that, I think, is something you have to pay attention to as a person. Pay attention to your physiology and try to regulate that, right? Maybe you do breathing exercises. I'm a big person on meditation and breathing. I've started doing that maybe a few years ago, and it's helped me kind of focus, right? And I think doing that, working on your physiology will help you build your self-confidence because physical and mental are all connected. At number 4 is you got to monitor or you got to challenge negative self-talk, right? We've all heard this before, this term, seek and you shall find, right? If you're constantly telling yourself, I'm not good at this, I'm not great at that, or I can't do this, this is going to be bad, you start to believe it, right? You start to believe that mental state and you buy into your own lack of self-confidence. So you have to kind of reverse that, like reprogram yourself, focus, and maybe think of something that's positive in your life that you can kind of build on, right? It's something that you were proud of in your life, with a big win or small win. Build on that and then use that to reprogram your mind and think the other way around, right? Because if you are continually thinking negatively and thinking poorly about yourself, you're going to feel that way. You're going to believe it that way. But if you start thinking positive of yourself and reinforcing yourself, you start to believe it that way. And we are creatures of habits. And the more we do things, the more we apply things over and over again, we start to believe it and we start to get a routine for it. At number three, I just mentioned it a little bit, but you take the wins, right? So I come from the technology world, right? In project management, we often talk about getting the small win, right? Recognizing the small wins. Oftentimes we think I got this big thing that I have to do. I have to accomplish this or I have to achieve that. And it's so big and so grand that you don't celebrate and focus on the smaller wins, right? Where you can say, oh, this is small, but I did it and I did it well. And I'm happy for it. Coach my son or daughter's soccer team, or I organized a play date with my kids and my neighbors. So these small wins will help boost your self confidence. And number two, and I think this people often overlook this, is embrace failure, right? One of the things with self confidence is that people are afraid and fear failure. They don't want to fail. So they're so scared of that they pull back and you can see it and they build this lack of self confidence. But if you embrace failure and you take it for what it is, and failure is a learning experience, that you don't look at it as I'm done and I can't do this. You take it as, hey, this is just a setback, but I'm going to learn from this experience and achieve it and do better the next time. I think LeBron James had a quote recently with his kids, and I think his daughter said, "I can't win. I can't do it." He's like, "There's no such thing as can't. If you fail, you get up and do it again. You fail, you get up and do it again. You only truly fail if you stop yourself from achieving what it is that you want to achieve. Failure is a setback more than anything, not an actual failure." And number one, and HLS says this, but I think it's higher, in my opinion, is stop comparing yourself to other people. Oftentimes, people see someone who's successful and who's confident and assume that they were born this way, right? And that they see the end journey, but they don't know the beginning story, right? They see the fruits of their labors, and they only focus on the last part of it, but not the beginning part of it and how they actually got there. So comparing yourself to others is really, really bad because you have your own journey to follow and you have your own way of achieving things. And what works for them may not work for you, but you can use them as reference to help boost yourself up. But don't directly compare yourself to them. They have their own lives and their own journeys, and you have yours. So that's my 5 cents.
All right, Kara. I'm so happy you're still with us.
Yeah, seriously, that took up half the show.
Well,
I really am happy that you're
dropping
still
logic. That's all.
So let me go ahead and give you my 5 cents on the topic. And the approach that I took is these are the stages. You start from number 5 and work your way to number 1. And this is how you can build self-confidence step by step. And at number 5, you start off with words of affirmation. You got to have positive self-talk. You have to see yourself in a confident light in order to have self-confidence. And number 4, physical well-being. So it could be as simple as making sure that your posture is good. I knew a soccer player who his chest was always out and he walked like this all the time. And it's like, man, why is your chest out like that? But he actually, for the Canadian national team, was the number 2 scorer of all time. Physical well-being, and it could be something as simple as your posture. At number 3, you have to take a self-assessment of some sort. I know for myself, I took a DISC assessment. And with these assessments, what happens is they really ask a bunch of questions to get to the details, the nitty gritties of your strengths, weaknesses, opportunities for growth. And once you have that, you're able to kind of play off of number 2, which is play to your strengths. All right. Don't worry about your weaknesses so much. Worry about what you are good at and continue to do that. Like for me, I am good at carrying these 2 in this podcast. So I continue to focus on carrying these 2 on this podcast. It's a heavy load, but I do this. This is what I do. And number 1, you have to recognize the accomplishment. I can remember the exact moment that my confidence turned on. It actually happened to be a night where we were out at Brown University hanging out with some Ivy Leaguers. And I actually went there to try to impress one female. And she gave me no attention at all. I mean, 0 attention.
HLS got a vein popping out of his head listening to you
Yeah.
right now.
Yes, because he was there.
I was there.
He was there. Tara, he was there, but he wasn't there. And that was kind of the problem. I could give the whole story, but it would take very long. But just know that there was another female there who paid me no attention at all. She was insulting me the whole night. And somehow, some way, she became infatuated with me. And we had a moment. And that was the accomplishment. And I recognized that, hey, I am no longer an ugly duckling. Because if I was able to get this dime piece to recognize me, self-confidence, baby. And I've never looked back. And that's my 5 cents, Kara. What a personal touch right there. What's going to happen next is we're actually going to
Trying to sell a sympathy story over here. Oh.
Yes, we are going to toss it over to you, Kara, in which we call something cross-examination. So, do you have any questions for us to clarify any points that we made in our list?
Yes, HLS is number 2. With a person you know, with a person you love, with with yourself. What are we talking about?
Yeah, no. So someone who cares about you, right? So sometimes, like when you feel desired, right? You may not have, maybe let's say you don't feel the best today, but someone looks at you with that same desire, with that same eyes, with that same. You could be with this person since you're 15, and over the years, your body's changed, your looks has changed. You may need glasses now, but they look at you with those same eyes, that same desire. It makes you feel good. It makes you, being desired by someone you care about makes you feel good. And having sex boosts that self-confidence for sure.
Hogwash. I'm going to piggyback off of that question if you don't mind, guys.
No, by all means.
Go ahead.
You're saying having sex with someone that you care about, right?
Mm-hmm. And that someone cares about you.
Okay,
Let's
so what
be
if you
fair.
don't have access to a person like that? We don't all, depending on what point you are in your life, you don't have access to sex. What if you're a 8-year-old kid who's lacking self-confidence?
Well, so it's not ideal for them. I don't recommend that. But
Yeah,
what
you think? You think?
what you can do is craft your circle. What you can do is craft your circle with kids who treat you nice. Not
But
kids
we're
who
talking
steal your
about
ball.
top 5 things that someone can do, anyone can do to build
Yeah, I'm
your
not talking to
self-confidence.
kids. I'm not talking to
Oh,
kids.
so then you don't care about kids then?
I wouldn't say that. That's a whole nother ball game. Kids are not listening to this podcast, right?
Yeah, they are. What are you
This-
talking about? We have
this-
kids in the Philippines listening to this podcast.
This is an adult. This is an adult conversation. So my list is
But
not.
self-confidence starts at an early age.
I agree, but
And if you don't recognize that at an early age, that it becomes more difficult as an adult to rectify.
well, one, my list isn't intended for kids, and two, that's where the parents step in, right? So if a parent is confident,
I really hope the parents not stepping in on number 2.
Yeah, seriously.
Oh, no.
Seriously.
Please don't step in.
Yeah.
no, a parent can teach their kid how to love themselves and how to be confident and how to surround themselves by good people, how to set attainable goals.
So
How
you
to
don't have a
maybe
5 then?
volunteer.
You don't have a top 5?
I do have a top 5. Just it's not for kids.
Oh, okay.
I'm talking to adults. It's not for kids.
You know what? I'm not talking to an adult right now because that list doesn't make sense.
How you
Go
figure?
ahead.
Well, and then again, you're not the judge, so it doesn't really matter.
I know.
Ooh, touche.
So what you got for Cross?
God, I would love to cross-examine you, but I can't even remember your list. I mean, it was
Yeah,
just-
honestly, I got
No.
so lost in his list. Like, I didn't even know where number 5.
It's
started
funny he
and
says
ended.
that because his list sounds exactly like mine, but that's okay.
Yeah, it's just I don't know. The snooze button was on there, so I can't even.
No, I think he
couldn't
was
even
just
try.
writing it down, just rearranging some of the order in which I presented my list and just put in 1 or 2 things that were different. But
So HLS, and I'm not even knocking it, but I just need some clarity because I don't
Sure.
really quite understand it. You're number 5, volunteer. I just don't understand where the volunteering is boosting. Volunteering what? Volunteering to do what? Volunteering to do the dishes? Volunteering to take out the trash for your parents because you're still living in the basement because you have no self-confidence? What are we talking about here with volunteering?
In your community. In your community, I've done a food drive for people before. And some of the appreciation that I felt by just passing out like boxes of pasta and rice, it just made me feel like I was doing something good, right? It didn't matter. I think I did a couple. I did one a Thanksgiving food drive. It's just passing out chickens and turkeys and yams, and people are like, "Yo, thank you so much, thank you so much." It just made me feel like, wow, how come I didn't do this years ago? I felt really good about myself, and I really enjoyed it. And now I volunteer annually.
So, Kara, let me ask you something. Do you think that there's a difference between self-confidence and self-appreciation?
Good question.
Yes, definitely.
Okay, because I think that what you're talking about with the volunteering is more towards self-appreciation, more so than boosting self-confidence.
Gratification, right?
Yeah, you're talking about, okay, you fed people at a soup kitchen, and that might have brought you some sort of reality check that, hey, you know what, my life isn't as bad as theirs. So I think you're talking self-appreciation more than self-confidence.
Yeah, but if you appreciate yourself, if you walk with your shoulders up and your chest back, and you appreciate yourself, if you take time to appreciate yourself and say, "Hey, I'm going to get a clean shave today. I'm going to put on some nice clothes today." If you appreciate yourself, it's going to carry outwards, and that boosts your self confidence. It starts within yourself. I don't know if you listen to Kara, but she was talking. It starts from within. It starts from within.
Shots.
Pandering.
My goodness.
I'm just saying, it starts from within.
So I have a question. Well, actually, let me. Do you have a follow up to his response? I'll let you respond.
No, I do not.
So I have a question on your number 3, right? Self assessment. How do you do a self assessment when you are constantly cheating on all of your tests?
Constantly.
How do you can't look over someone's shoulder when you're taking a self assessment? Like, you can't nudge me in the arm and be like, "Yo, logical. Let me. What'd you get for number 5? Let me use your number 5." Explain that.
Okay, I see you're talking to the 8-year-old again. You like talking to the kids, the underage. All right. So the last time that I took a test, I mean, it's been quite some time, some years. A self-assessment, there are a bunch of assessments out there that are free to utilize online that I recommend for people, because sometimes in order to get to the place you want to be, you have to know where you're at. And these self-assessments can be useful tools. I think that's why companies dish out bucks to do 360 assessments for employees to have an understanding of where their strengths are at so that they can be a stronger employee. There's reasons why it's a tried and true method. So yeah, self-assessment, you should take one.
Oh, I've ran a few on my own, so you don't have to tell me to take one. I was only asking because
then
of
you're not doubt. So then you're not
yeah.
doubting my number
No,
3.
I was just asking for
ran a
you
few.
personally.
You
How
know
do you
the
do a self
importance.
assessment when you cheat on your exams? So
You
that's
know
that,
the importance of self-assessment is what you're saying to me. Okay, thank you. Appreciate that for validating my point. Appreciate that.
You know, it's funny that you talked about, my list and talking to 8-year-olds. What 8-year-old knows what I can't even pronounce that. Physiology? What 8-year-old knows that?
I can't help that you can't read. I'm sorry, but 8-year-olds can probably read this word. But physiology, I mean, kids nowadays, this is probably ignored years ago, right? But nowadays, I mean, talking to one of my youngest nieces who's like 8, like now she's in her classes and they're teaching her breathing techniques to calm herself, to relax, because especially some kids at a very early age have suffer from like anxiety, right? So recognizing how you are physically when certain emotions go through you, when you regulate how you are physically, that can in turn shape you emotionally. So kids are aware of that. If you're talking like a newborn or something like that, okay, maybe. But you're talking about kids that are early age, toddler, maybe a little bit older, like they are able to, if we're talking about 8-year-olds again, they are very intuitive and astute, and you can teach them about the physiology and they can learn that stuff. So it's not, no, it's not only for adults.
Yeah, I'm gonna piggyback. You oh my gosh. So you're talking about the children, you talk about the kids, your list is for the kids, and you say
No, I
embrace
didn't say my list is
failure.
for the kids. My list is for everyone.
Okay.
I'm
You're
just
number
saying you
2.
can't, number 2 for HLS's list, you can't apply to a kid.
No, you
Number
can't.
2, embracing failure. So you want these kids to turn into a bunch of Eeyores. Just soak in the failure. Oh my God, I suck.
As this
Just
is
embrace
coming
it.
from someone who doesn't understand the concept of failure. There's no path to success without failure. Period. Nothing is achieved when there's no failure behind it. People fail in order to succeed. That's just how it works. Like people who ignore failure and say, I can't fail, I have to succeed, they put too much pressure on themselves and not recognizing that failure is a pathway to success. Failure is a pathway to self-confidence. Self-confidence is tied, like I said in my list, it's tied to your fear of failure.
Okay. So I just want to say kudos to you then. Congratulations. You failed at your list. So good job. You definitely did that with the list. So good job. So Kara, do you have anything else?
Not questions.
All right.
Okay.
Let's go ahead and get to decision time. We want to know, who do you have in third place? Who had the worst list?
Okay, so I was already thinking the best one. Let's go to. I hate to do it because I like y'all already. HLS.
I know this though. I know I just said this whole thing about failure, but you definitely failed.
I'm shocked, Karen.
Why are you shocked? You say this every single time.
I have a good reason why, but it's not the reason that you might think. It's not just a bad list. That's okay. But I'm following.
That's not the only reason. It's not that it's just a bad list.
Oh my
There's
God,
other reasons why.
We'll talk about it. We'll talk about it. But who do you have in number one?
I almost spit out my drink. Oh, Kara, you killed me with that one. Okay.
HLS, learn from this and succeed next time. That's all I got to say.
Stop it.
And I have a valid reason for my number one. My number one is actually logical.
Wow. No.
Thank you.
I
can't believe you guys. You guys
are you
like
serious?
No, she is serious because you guys don't know how to succeed. You don't know how to fail in order to succeed. I failed and I succeed and I have self-confidence now. That's it. Kara, you're amazing. Thank you.
Walk us through your process.
Yes, please walk us through this.
Yeah, educate those who do not know. They obviously need the training.
The breakdown of HLS's list, when you walk through it, it is all based on external validation in one form or another. Confidence coming from feedback from the outer world that I'm going to put in my inner world, which can, yes, build self-confidence. However, it's unsustainable and it will constantly need refreshing and constantly need refilling. It's wonderful, but it's very dependent. It can be, and it works for a lot of people. And if you have a partner, if you have all these things that are working in your favor, this list can work. But what happens if, right? What happens if I'm single? What happens if I'm a child? What happens if I don't have, X, Y, and Z set up for that? What happens is I will only be confident if I'm further performing and if I'm further being validated. And so it's a list, yes. It would work for someone, yes, but it's a vacuum and it keeps somebody consistently seeking confidence in that vacuum.
That
Logic.
was fucking deep.
Logic.
That was deep.
I might have to give you my moniker for the next 24 hours because that was genius and logical.
You are the logical genius, Kara. My goodness.
Wow.
And why was logical genius number one?
Well, what's interesting about that is, yeah, we made fun of him and everything, but they all come from within. They're all something he can do. They are all sustainable, and they follow Napoleon Hill's principles for success, actually.
See, I didn't even know that. Being a logical genius, I didn't even know that.
Cool.
Thank you for educating me, Kara. It's just natural.
Yeah, your Google game is great.
Nope.
So, Kara, we want to know, what is your 5 cents on the topic?
There's actually only 2.
Oh, give it to us.
You only need 2 people.
The number one thing you can do to build self-confidence, the number one, keep your promises to yourself. If you make a promise to yourself, if you say that you're going to do something, if you say that you're going to be something, if you say that you're going to think something, that is the ultimate hack to building a relationship with yourself. And that self-referencing and that constant self-advocation is the only thing you need to forge yourself, because that way it's independent of somebody's opinions. It's independent of your wins and failures. It's independent of your performance and independent of people in your crowd, independent of your financial status, independent of your advantages, your disadvantages, all of it. When I have my back, when I know that I have my back, despite everything else, the world could turn against me and I'm the solo man in the arena. Every single person's a critic in the crowd, telling me where I've come short, telling me where I could have done better, right? The Man in the Arena, the Theodore Roosevelt speech, it's epic. And there's a reason why. It's the thing I live by, because as long as I am in the arena, day by day by day by day, I could give a fuck less what the critics have spitting out of their mouth, because they're not in the arena. They're in the stands. I'm in the arena with my face marred with blood and sweat and tears, and I'm doing the work, understanding that no matter where I am in the journey, whether I'm falling down face first, as long as I, in the face down in the dirt, can go, remember, I've got you, get back up. It does not matter. Anything could come against me, and anything does come against you, which is why Napoleon Hill's principle that Logical bring up, embrace failure, it's actually very key, because you have to immerse yourself in failure stories to understand that the people that we think have summited the mountain, they summited the mountain after falling down the mountain 7 times and thinking of not climbing it back up again. Or everybody starts at the mountain one step at a time. Nobody climbs that shit and just by osmosis or a helicopter ride or a cheat code. Nobody gets to the top by landing at the top. We start at the bottom. All of us do. But here's one challenge to the embrace failure principle of Napoleon Hill that he teaches is failure is only failure when observed. If you refuse to fail and you refuse to quit and you take failure as temporary defeat as opposed to failure, you cannot fail. And that ability that I cannot fail, that is the ultimate self-confidence. But my number 2 is you have to be authentically you. Stop abandoning yourself. Stop taking a part of yourself that you feel like will not be approved of, loved, validated, respected, whatever, just because somebody has come and challenged that part of you. All of you has to go in, which means all of your failure, all of your shadows, all of your light, all of your wins, every single piece of you has to go forward. And those would be my 2.
Nice.
That was powerful.
Beautiful.
Thank you for that. So we do a people's poll where we ask our friends in social media for the topic. And I will tell you that there was a lot of people that rang out when it came to this topic. I think this might have been our most popular one that we've had thus far. So I'm going to give you 5 out of the list. And at number 5, we had Eat Good, which was an interesting one. You know, the old phrase, you are what you eat. Just don't call me a pussy. Number 4, we have Fake It Till You Make It.
This definitely shows definitely not for kids.
Yeah, I'm not talking to 8-year-olds. Definitely not talking to 8-year-olds. At number 4, which I thought was strange, but it was there, Fake It Till You Make It. There was a few people that definitely said, just if you're trying to build self-confidence, I guess fake self-confidence until you become self-confidence. Do you subscribe to that, Kara? No, Kara.
I don't. It furthers the divide between who I am and who I want to be. And it also tells me that in order to be successful, I have to be anything other than what I am. I have to fake it. If you say fake it till you make it, you're saying that you're faking it. There's nothing about it that eventually turns real. It just becomes you further subscribe to the charade that you have to fake something. Instead of saying fake it till you make it, I get the mantra and I get the power behind giving yourself some sort of step-by-step push momentum type of thing. I get that 100%. But how about act as if, or be it to become it, or something that's a little bit more embodying as opposed to I'm gonna fake my way through this until people are fooled. I mean, I don't understand with the fake it till you make it. I don't understand what the win or the finish line looks like for that, because make it what? Because then once you make it, you have to start
push it off.
Who you really are.
Yeah.
It's like,
Great
well,
point.
I'm gonna fake it till I get this wonderful relationship, and then what? Now I'm gonna slowly gaslight them into like this real version of myself, and then it's not sustainable.
That's quite the breakdown.
Yeah.
Thank you for that, Kara. At number 3, we had surround yourself with a positive influence or positive people. And I think that was talking more to what HLS maybe might have been speaking to. At number 2, we had mindfulness. A lot of people said mindfulness, meditation, self-encouragement, words of affirmation. So that was a big one there. And number 1, which I'm not sure if the people understood the assignment, but maybe this is back again, once again, to self-confidence versus self-appreciation. Number 1 was love yourself. A lot of people said you have to love yourself to build self-confidence. But my struggle with that advice is that it's not telling you how to build that self-confidence. Like, love yourself. It's just generic. Like, okay, love yourself. Almost kind of like logical geniuses embrace failure. Just embrace failure. I didn't appreciate.
He's still throwing shots, even though we already established I got the number 1. I don't even know why. Sour grapes.
So that right there is the people's poll.
Yeah, shout out to everybody who voted. That was super important. And that was a lot of gems right there.
Yeah, there was a lot. And I mean, there was a lot more on the list that we got to pick 5 cents.
Yeah, you got to pick 5.
So, Kara, if people wanted to follow you or see what you're about, how would they go about doing that?
I am a very social media conscious person, and so everything is repurposed. If you see me on YouTube or TikTok, that's just a repurposed content. I am the person behind my screen on Instagram and nowhere else. So if you want to reach me, find how bad I am at puns and dad jokes and all that, I'm on Instagram, and that's just Kara Payton with an underscore. But my website's being revamped right now, and I'll make it a very, very conversational place, something intimate, something actionable where people can have conversations there. But for now, my favorite place to be is on Instagram.
All right. So that's Kara, KaraPayton_. If you want to follow her on the gram, and I'm sure that you could check her podcast out on all the streaming sites, just like you could check out this one. So we're going to go ahead and say goodnight to the people. HLS, go ahead and say goodnight to the people.
Kara, you stepped in the wrong direction, but you dropped a lot of nuggets, a lot of love. Thank you so much for your time. We'll get them next time, guys.
No, you won't.
All right. And Kara, I'm going to say your decision-making is quite questionable. It really is. But I appreciate you being on the show. I really do. And the knowledge that you gave, this was a win. So good night, people. We will get them next time. And Logical Genius and our champion for the week.
Yes. Kara, thank you again for being on the show. Thank you for dropping your knowledge. And of course, picking the most logical choice. HLS Social Juve, as you are climbing this mountain that Kara is talking about, and your failure upon failure upon failure to try to defeat me, when you look up, know that I am waving back at you guys and saying, hurry the fuck up, because I am too far ahead. Good night, people.
I don't even know what to say, but Kara Payton, please say goodnight to the people.
Thank you, guys, for having me. This was a fun dynamic. I love the structure. I love the rapport. And I'm super happy that you guys invited me on. So thank you.
Thank you.